Hi guys, good morning and welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host Eddie, and in today's video I'll be discussing what I thought of the latest and super great mid-season finale for the hit animated Paramount Plus Nickelodeon show Star Trek Prodigy, which dropped its I'm going to call it the mid-season finale today. The mid-season finale of season 1. Not the season finale, but the mid-season finale, as we have 10 more episodes to look forward to later this year from season 1 of Star Trek Prodigy. So before I get into all of that and I discuss spoilers and plot details and all that jazz, please be warned, this is a spoiler-filled review. So if you're not caught up on Star Trek Prodigy this episode or last week's episode, which was the first half of this story, you may not want to keep watching or listening, as I will be discussing spoilers. That being said, you have been warned. Let's get right back into it. First and foremost, we finally got some answers as to what the deal is with the diviner and why he's such a prick. So it turns out he was sent back in time either by his people or he somehow sent himself back in time. And his intentions are arguably good in the sense that he wants to save his people from destruction, but he seems to believe or is under the impression or thinks that Starfleet is the fault of the downfall of his people's civilization. Apparently, after first contact with the Federation, everything fell apart with their race and led to their destruction or their planet dying. So his goal is to return the protostar that's heavily armed and destroy Starfleet to prevent the downfall of his people from ever happening. So that's why he wants a protostar. That's why he wants to go to Starfleet. Totally makes sense. Unfortunately, I don't think his method of going about it is the correct way. As Gwen pointed out, she said you need to talk to Starfleet and try to figure out what happened before it happens. But it was still an exciting reveal nonetheless. And it was also nice to see this asshole suffer a little bit. Like when Gwen fought with him and she tore out one of his liquid tube things or whatever that was, and he was suffering for a bit on the bridge. That was a satisfying scene to watch, and it was a satisfying reveal that Janeway wasn't really reprogrammed after all, that her upgrades protected her from reprogramming, and she was holding him off while Gwen deactivated the shield or the security lockouts. That was pretty cool. I loved how all the other miners got to have only universal translators, and that super funny bit in the beginning when the two miners bonded over finally being able to understand and speak to one another thanks to the universal translators, which was also funny and touching. And I like how they all took on the Dreadnought as well. Although I'm not willing to wipe Dreadnought or the Diviner off the map entirely, I think both can definitely return and both can definitely be villains once again. You know, we don't know how long Diviner's going to be mad or lost in his own mind for. He's obviously still alive, just marooned or imprisoned somewhere. I don't think they revealed where exactly, but they implied that his days of being a bad guy were over for now. But I think both of them could definitely return simply because they're not actually dead. So that remains to be seen what happens with our two villains, but now our characters are reunited. They got their ship back. Quinn seems to have survived her exposure to Zero. Wasn't too surprised that his true pure form was just basically pure energy, but apparently if you look at it, you could lose your mind, which is, I guess, what happened to Diviner. Almost kind of what happened to Gwen, even though she thankfully just caught a reflection of it and didn't actually look at him. And from the end of this episode, too, I thought they were going to leave it on a cliffhanger where we don't know if she recovers or not. But before this episode ran out, she made a full recovery, and the only thing she forgot was probably the revelation of the truth that her father made about what happened to their people thanks to Starfleet, or what he believes is thanks to Starfleet. So hopefully, and that's probably going to come back at the worst possible time in the second half of this season at some point, when she suddenly remembers, Starfleet led to the downfall of my race and civilization. So we'll see what happens there. Fun little stinger at the end there, showing the real Janeway and a very real Starfleet crew on the search for the protostar, and believing that Chakotay is still at the helm of it. We still have a lot of questions as to what happened with him. Hopefully Chakotay is alive and just holed up somewhere. But it's nice to see the real Janeway enter the picture as well. It's going to be fun seeing her interact with her holographic version if it comes to that. So this was a great mid-season finale. It was exciting. It had some high stakes. The characters had some great moments where they all really shone or shined. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I love that the show can move forward now in a clear direction of like, well, we've set up the first half, and by the mid-season finale, we finally figured out the villains' motives and why everyone wanted this ship. And now they can return to Starfleet with their own good intentions. But I'm sure there will be some problems along the way because it is Star Trek after all. So, great mid-season finale. Really enjoyed it. Looking forward to the second half of this season. No idea when it will exactly premiere. This is going to be a big year for Star Trek. We have premiere dates for Picard Season 2, Season 1 of the new show Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Star Trek Discovery returns with new episodes next week, next Thursday on Paramount Plus for its remaining episodes. No idea when Prodigy will fit into that schedule, but we'll know when we know, so just a matter of time. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have an awesome rest of your day. Star Trek Prodigy, its first half of Season 1 is now all streaming on Paramount Plus. Have a great one, and of course, until next time, live long and prosper.